Συνεχίζουμε. Η κυρία Kate Logan είναι η πρέσβης της Αυστραλίας στην Ελλάδα, είναι μαζί μας. What are the interests of Australia in the Asia Pacific?
Thanks, Elena. Well, Australia has profound strategic economic and commercial interests in the Asia Pacific, strong linkages that we've worked hard to develop over the last decades. But to really answer your question, I think the first observation I'd make is that the Asia Pacific region is undergoing a strategic transition, if you like, just as significant as the economic boom that preceded it. So one of Australia's key foreign policy aims is to ensure that the region evolves peacefully without an erosion of the fundamental principles on which its prosperity is based. What do I mean by those principles? Well, I mean a place where disputes are resolved peacefully, a place where open markets facilitate the free flow of goods and ideas and capital, where economic integration is inclusive, where the United States remains closely engaged in the region's security and economy, and where China plays a leading role in a way that strengthens an order that's based on these principles. And in working towards those objectives, Australia works very closely with the big economies in the region, the big democracies, Japan, Korea, Indonesia, and India.
So maybe we could put Greece and EU in the picture.
Yeah, well, I think Greece's interests and Europe's interests more broadly, basically security and prosperity of Greece and Europe, are vitally engaged by the Asia Pacific. And I think the Greek government recognises that. We can see that from recent high-level visits by Greek ministers to the region, to China, to India, to Korea, to Singapore and elsewhere. Shows the government is aware of this, and the EU more broadly is positioning itself to capitalise on the extraordinary trajectory of growth. I think we probably all know the figures, but the ones that really stand out for me are that the Asia Pacific was the fastest growing region in the world last year. By 2030, Asia stands to deliver 2/3 of global growth and produce more than half of the world's economic output. It's going to be home to a middle class of 3.5 billion people, a consumer market that is larger in number and in spending power than the rest of the world combined. Those people are going to want services, education, sophisticated manufactured products, high-quality agricultural products, and the choices of those consumers are really going to reshape global markets. So you can see, I think, for Greece and the European Union more broadly, not engaging is not an option.
But how can all these players work together?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, you know, the first point I'd make is a strategic one, and that is that the values and the rules that are central to the image and the identity of Europe and Greece, the EU can project those on the global stage, and that is where a lot of the value lies. I think Europe's interests are strongly served by helping to develop a region, the Asia-Pacific region, as a place where adherence to rules delivers lasting peace, where the rights of all states are respected, and where open markets are free and where goods can flow freely. In a globalised world, we need rules to manage disputes, to tackle transnational issues, to support human rights. It creates a level playing field for small countries and for medium-sized countries where they can pursue their national interests, if you like, and I think no country understands that better than Greece. So the EU really has a moral weight and a standing that Asian states respect. What it says and what it does has an impact. The second thing I'd say is on the economic side it's clearly in Greece's interests to advocate for a regional trade and investment climate that is open and free. Asia can make a major contribution to Greece's economic recovery and long-term growth as an investment partner, as a destination for exports, and as a source of cutting-edge technology in those areas where Greece has a comparative advantage, like maritime, shipping, and so forth. Greek companies are already making forays into the region, and I know groups in Greece like SEV and Enterprise Greece are supporting that engagement, and that's terrific to see. In Australia, we have particularly welcomed recent major Greek investments in energy, in infrastructure and renewables. And as far as Australia and the EU are concerned, our own negotiations on a free trade agreement that are already underway will be another tangible way that I think we can strengthen all our economies in a united way. So, I suppose just to wrap up, as I said before, not engaging is not an option. Europe clearly has real influence that it can bring to bear in shaping the behaviour of some of Asia's big players. As the economic centre of gravity in the world continues to shift to Asia, I think Greece and Europe need to think a bit more about how to reap the economic benefits and to maximise the opportunities to support your growth path. And I'm conscious that our 10 minutes is up, but the very final point I'd make would be to say that one of the themes of the Delphi Forum this year is growth. It's all about growth. For Greece in particular, it's all about growth. And I think a 10-minute session on the Asia-Pacific region with its booming growth probably doesn't do it justice. So, just to note that let's hope next year there's a bit longer devoted to the part of the world where growth is so strong. But thank you very much for the opportunity to talk very briefly about it.
Thank you all. Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Καλή συνέχεια.